Hello everyone. I think my battery in my main camera finally died. This is the kind of thing that I'm decommissioning, which it's still useful, I guess, if you wanted to. Sorry about my voice here, but it's an Intel 2.8 512 Pentium 4. I don't know how much RAM's on it. This was out of a Dell. If you notice, it's pretty dusty. But you could, well, put a heat sink back on it. This is the kind that had those green, it didn't have a fan on it. The green locks, they slide in here. I have all that stuff. It's an AGP board. It does have 2 SATA, although these were hidden. They weren't utilized in the case this came in. So whether those are enabled or just there, they might work. I could power this up. I'd have to go hunt one of the square aluminum block heat sinks that fit that. I do have some slot 1 boards. Like, some of this stuff is well, what I made use of were my own stuff, whereas, you know, all my life pretty much upgrading computers. If you want to see the old gray-haired man, right? I don't feel like I'm that old, but I am getting older. But this is one of the HPs that I showed you. I talked about this before. One of the nice things about the board I thought about putting in this, or this case, I can emulate the floppy. I can emulate the CD-ROM with ISO images. I could buy a IDE to SATA. You could buy cards to put SATA drives in these. They used to have, like, Gigabyte. I was watching someone had one. I looked on eBay. The prices of them were like $700, but I don't know if I would pay that for the thing, but I'm sure it could be replicated maybe. But it's like one of the first SSDs was PCI, and it used a SATA connector, so that could have been, like, this might have had a flat case, like the case like this, where these were sticking out the front of it, maybe, you know, depending on how they laid out their case. But this was a tower board. This is a Dell. It's a 260, 270, 280 style case. I have one still together. One got damaged. I've probably taken apart maybe 5 or 6 of those over the years. People used to throw them away or give them to you, but this has this front I/O here. It has the CD-ROM, DVD writer. I don't know if I have any Blu-rays of these left. So if I wanted to burn a disc, like for my car or something, although that's just something to do. I never had the drive bay thing that went in here, so there's options there. I could go totally no discs at all. But this was limited. I think this was limited to 2 gigs of RAM or 4 gigs of RAM. This is the one I burn up. Or I know I burnt the processor up. I don't know if I burnt the board up. I might have, but this was an Intel Core 2 Duo, I think. But here's the processor. It's a E2160, I think. I'd have to look it up to see really what it was. Try to get the glare. 2168. So I need to go find a board and test this processor. I don't see any bent pins in it. I did a video on this one. It's on the channel. It's the one I said had Vista on it, and I was checking drives. This I took most of the stuff out of it. It has power supply I'm going to take out of it. I thought about putting this Gigabyte board over here in it because this has vented sides, and I could utilize the SATA stuff. But here's this board. I've showed this before. This board will hold a max of 3 gigs of RAM, so that's what I have in it. I have the 16 gig compact flash, which I could add more of those inside or a different format. I have this on the front there, has one. I have ones that slide in the rear slots. They don't fit in a slot, they're just a cable, which since these have the cables, they'll plug right into that, most of that stuff. Now, the color of it may not matter as long as it fits the USB port. Plus this has the a PCI 6-pin. I think it has an 8-pin on it. So this power supply is going to come out of here. I don't need that much on this. This has a game port and onboard sound. You could add a SSD, like I said, IDE to SSD and use one of the... I don't have one handy, but you could probably just leave it like that. But if I had the external one, then I could, well, do a multi-boot OS, which is what this one has. I'd have it booted into the Linux boot, just in case the Windows boot failed. Or if the Linux boot failed, then I might be able to use Windows or a boot disk or a boot option. That's why I was saying it took me a minute. Plus I have most of the drives out, if you saw. It's been upgraded, but I have quite a few of these. This is compact flash. You can get them, I think you can get them up to 64 gig. Who knows how big they make them. I don't, that's usually like camera people on those. I did put a RGB cooler, just you know, the LED lights. That's what this fan is. I need to find the other fan. I think it's in the other case like this, which is an AMD based one. And this had no, sorry, the other one, no, wait, yeah, it's AMD. This one had the onboard NVIDIA card. I think it has like a, I don't remember what video card was on it right off. But I'll show you those. What burned up in the other room was power supply and, well, that old Gen 4 server. But I don't know, I might hook this up. I have plenty of those aluminum blocks. I was taking them off. If nothing else, it's aluminum. I could use it for junk, right? But this board works. Nothing wrong with it. I have all the custom I/O things, like if you wanted to build your own case for it. I mean, some people, if they don't get a arcade machine restored or something, you know, they would take something like this, like an old Pentium 4, and load all their, well, they could load the game on it, if nothing else, or make a multi-system. I mean, you could do a custom thing with it. This has plenty of USB. It has onboard LAN, sound. For these kind of things with the gaming port, and I have a joystick still, and I have my gamepad, although it's corded. But you might be able to buy a module and add wireless to it. But this could be a lot of different things, just to store music, play games on, like I intend to, play with different operating systems. This is a, well, I said 2005. It might be older than that. I'd have to look up when the K7 Triton come out. I think it was around 2005. I have, I don't know if I saved any of the, sorry if I'm pointing at stuff and you don't see me every now and then. It's just a bad habit. But I was thinking of what I might have saved. Some of the stuff over the years. This has floppy IDE. So you could have 4 drives. It's got 2 SATA right there. So This might be a good board for something like that. If the SATAs work, I'll have to test that out. A Pentium 4, I mean, on an old DOS machine, like anything that has good DOS support, which USB and stuff like that, if you don't have a board with a driver for DOS, which I don't know if USB ever did work on DOS. It might have through like a serial port or something. That's why there's serial ports on here. Everything used to be, you know, a certain thing. You could plug a joystick or a mouse into here, or USB, depending on what style you had. I mean, obviously the older the PC, but the onboard game port, it just eliminates stuff over here. Like you could add other things later. The onboard sound on this, I forget what one it is. It was a pretty good one for the day. Like I had bought this and used it to play games on because, well, that's just, I bought it from Tiger Direct. They're not even around anymore. This is a 128 card. I wish it was, well, a 256 or something, but it performs well. I mean, it, like I said, for some games it might not be the best. Like Underground 2, it plays it good, but it's, you know, not as good as, say, something a little quicker. But like 95 games on these would probably sail pretty good. DOS games, it'd probably do. If you just want a DOS machine, I mean, you could go with a anything old 486 or whatever. Depends on what you want to do with it, I guess. But Gigabyte also makes server stuff too, so it's pretty solid equipment in my opinion. The Foxconn stuff, I've seen that before. That's usually in these pre-builts. This is a Vista era. A lot of people don't care about the Vista era in the computer world. They care about them, but it was the transition between 32-bit and 64-bit, and all the software changed and compatibility. But this has a PCI slot and a PCIe slot, so you could add. I had one of the 650s in this. That's why I had it out of the other one. And I was playing EverQuest on it, and I was messing around with a program, and I overclocked the processor, and it just shut off. I think that in my haste, I forgot to thermal paste it, or I forgot to plug in the fan. I don't remember which. I might have just burnt the processor up, but when I looked at the board, I know I have a few processors laying around. If this is a good one or a bad one, I have to test it, but I'd almost rather have this than a Pentium 4, but they're, well, like I said, some of these old Dell boards, I mean, the only thing really that goes wrong with them is the capacitors, but like I said, this one looks pretty good. It's got, I have a lot of these cables that fit these connectors too. This has the 4-pin CPU, removable heat sink there. You could repaste that. That's I don't know if that's front panel or what it is, USBs. But there you have it. I gotta go hunt another one of those fans. I think I have 3 of them total, so I got what? 1 here, 1 there. I could probably change the one in the power supply if I wanted to make it, you know, RGB, but this has got to come out of here. That's got to go back in the one in the other room. It came with Call of Duty. I did play it for a little while. I used one of the keys. I bought 2 of the cards, and it has 2 GTX 250s in it. So I don't know how many of these I have. I have a few of them. I'll have to line them all up and, I don't know, throw them up on eBay, see if anybody wants them. I want to make sure they work first. So you all have a good night.